Hi, I'm Nick Park from Evangelical Alliance Ireland, and this is our weekly message. It's Friday, but Sunday is coming. It seems like every day there's a new survey in the media. Some of them are interesting, some of them make you shake your heads in disbelief, so some of them you wonder what the world is coming to. And some of them really should cause us concern. And one such survey that should cause us concern was conducted in Ireland at the tail end of last year, November and December of 2025. It was carried out by the Claims Conference, which is a Holocaust education trust working with a polling organisation called the Global Strategy Group. And the survey revealed that half of all the adults surveyed here in Ireland didn't know that 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust by the Nazis in the 1930s and the 1940s. I found that quite shocking, that such a very basic fact of history, that so many people would be ignorant of that. But even worse, among young adults aged 18 to 29, 9% of young adults in Ireland that were surveyed believe the Holocaust is a myth, that it did not happen. Now look, when it comes to history, scholars disagree over many things. The Holocaust is one that is very well documented, and usually when people are trying to present some kind of view that denies the Holocaust, it's not just out of genuine historical disagreement, but it's rooted in anti-Semitism. Now, anti-Semitism is not disagreeing with Israel. You can disagree with some of Israel's policies as a state or whatever. That doesn't make you anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitism is whenever we display hatred or animosity towards people because of their Jewish ethnicity or their Jewish faith. Anti-Semitism is a great evil. It's been responsible, as we say, for the Holocaust, which is one of the greatest evils in history. And anti-Semitism still exists in Ireland, and it will continue to exist as long as there's this level of ignorance, and particularly the next generation, who you're hoping for better things from, are actually 9% of them think the Holocaust was a myth. That is very concerning about what it says about us here in Ireland. What can we do about this? Well, a lot of this, first of all, we have to make sure, but those of us that are parents, grandparents, those of us that are involved in church ministry, involved in education, whatever, we need to do our best to make sure that young people that we have responsibility for are properly informed. But also, a lot of this boils down to where they are getting their information from. You know, every day I see news stories. I'm interested in what's happening in the world, and sometimes I'll be on social media, I'll see a news story, and you know what, I don't just say, oh wow, look, it says it on Facebook, it must be true. I go onto news sites, and not just one news site, not just a news site that I happen to agree with, but different news sites with different perspectives, and I try to get a fuller picture of what's happening and why it is happening. But we have a generation growing up that get the majority of their information and news from social media. You would say, why should we be worried about that? Sure, are you just not being against a new technology? The problem is that social media is driven by algorithms. The way that algorithms work is they identify what you're interested in and what you will spend most time watching on your screen, and then feed you more of the same stuff. Basically, when you first go on an internet or a social media platform, they show you all kinds of stuff. Some of it's crazy, and it's like throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. But then the algorithms catch on to what you actually like watching, what you spend your time clicking on and following and spending time watching the videos, and therefore it gives you more of the same. Why? Because that way you're more likely to buy products that are being advertised, you're more likely to subscribe to things, and that's where the massive profits are coming from for social media companies. So algorithms it doesn't matter whether it's true or not, keep feeding you stuff that you already like to watch. That means you don't get challenged with a different opinion. And now we can see an example of this last year when we had a general election here in Ireland, and there were people with a very extreme political viewpoint who, because they were online all the time and getting their information online, thought the whole country agreed with them. because that's all they're ever seeing online. They thought they were going to get like loads of TDs elected to the Dáil and might even form the government, and then they didn't get a single TD elected. And instead of questioning, well, maybe I should question the information that I'm receiving and how accurate that is, instead of that, they then began complaining that the election was rigged and their votes weren't being counted properly and everything else, because that's when you get your information, what the algorithms feed you, that's where you can end up. Now, look, sometimes that can be fairly harmless. You know, you can get people with running around with daft conspiracy theories and everything else, and you can shrug your shoulders and say, I can't believe anybody believes that, but it's probably not doing anybody any harm. But when it comes to something like anti-Semitism, it is rooted, anti-Semitism is the root of Holocaust denial. And Holocaust denial is growing in our country. And that is something that should concern all of us, particularly as Christians. Prejudice against any group of people on account of their ethnicity or religion is something that we should deplore as Christians. But anti-Semitism in particular is something that we need to take a stand on. So what can we do? Well, let's make sure that we're well informed ourselves. You know, it's surprising how many adults are ill-informed. Surprising how many adults, for example, think to do your own research is to watch a few YouTube videos till you find something that makes you feel comfortable or that you agree with. We need to make sure that we are informed, but most of all, we need to ensure that our young people are not just exposed to what the social media companies throw at them with their algorithms, but we need to talk to them well and clearly about the things that really matter. And that includes the fact that anti-Semitism is a great evil, that it is Holocaust denialism is rooted in anti-Semitism, and there should be no place for that in the church, in our homes, in our families. We can't control what the government does. We certainly can't control what the social media companies do, but we can influence our families and our churches for good. Let's be responsible in doing that. In Jesus' name. God bless you, and I invite you to join us again next week for another edition of It's Friday but Sunday's Coming, your weekly video message from Evangelical Alliance Ireland. EAI is working on your behalf to equip, connect and represent the Church of Jesus Christ in our nation, providing resources and speaking into spaces where God's people need to be heard in our society today.
I'm here to ask you to join our mission. We're looking for 1,000 people who will commit to giving just a pinch more than the price of a cup of coffee per month. By using this QR code, you can sign up to support the work of EAI with just €5 per month.
It is so important at a time like this to have a Christian perspective being spoken boldly into the political and social spheres in which we are living. Why? Because when we are together, we thrive, we grow, we make a difference.
Your generosity is needed to keep our mission moving forward. Be one of the 1,000, just €5 a month. God bless you.